Elliot, before commercial, we were discussing the very heated protesters that seem to be following Justin Trudeau and his team. Why is that happening? You came up with some ideas as to what you think is causing this, or what's the impetus?
Yeah, as I was saying, I think it has something to do to the vaccine push that the Prime or Justin Trudeau has been behind and sort of encouraging Canadians to get on board with. That said, you do also need to remember that in 2019, Justin Trudeau had to wear a bulletproof vest to an event because there was a threat on his life at a campaign stop. I can't remember where it was. So in a way, this isn't actually that new. There has been a lot of antagonism towards Justin Trudeau for lots of reasons that would probably take its own show to unpack. But the fact of the matter is there is that anger directed towards him. And I think what you've seen is through these anti-vaccine protesters and other sort of protesters as well, is that they've now got the vaccination drive as, in a sense, a sort of funnel or as a vehicle to sort of get that anger out towards Trudeau.
Well, that's an interesting perspective, because I look at the other provincial elections that would have happened already. We think of Nova Scotia, British Columbia. I don't remember this level of vitriol, but perhaps it's timing that the vaccine mandates weren't sort of being proposed at that time, and this is kind of this intersection. But again, it's, Yanni, you tell me. I was a political candidate. I remember receiving a lot of vitriol. It's scary. I had personal security at one point. It's not fun. It happens. You're right. It happens a lot. But just some of the vitriol that was coming, I was shocked. And maybe people are just really angry. Yanni?
I think it has to do with the misconception of how we do politics here in Canada. I think any threat towards any politician is disgusting. I think people who, regardless of their party, who put their name on a ballot, they're doing it because they intend to build a better Canada. And I think we just have different ways of doing it, whether you're a Liberal, Conservative, NDP, or Green Party. I think the root of it, though, is we try to emulate the United States a lot. I find here. You notice Erin O'Toole's running a campaign very similar to that of Boris Johnson and elements of David Cameron's previous campaigns in the United Kingdom, trying to do politics differently in Canada. Whereas, you see individuals, in a world where we're so connected on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever platform of social media you use, you see them trying to emulate what happened in the U.S. You had the Capitol riots recently. You had, back during the Trump days, you had decapitation photos of Donald Trump circulating within the mainstream media. I think it's just the fact that, in Canada, we're not used to doing politics like that. Right. And because we try to emulate the United States so much, we're kind of having that trickle effect into our own political sphere.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Did you want to say something, Elliot?
I was just going to say, I do agree with some of those points. I do see some of the trend lines from the U.S. coming into Canada around, the protests and some of the thoughts and some of the slogans that you're hearing coming out of those protests. What I think is something different in Canada is I think there's a general acceptance among the major parties, and there's a need that they need to sort of push on this a little bit more to sort of nip this in the bud and to make sure that they call it out when they see it, and not to let it fester and not to let it get attached to any one party or any one candidate or the way we do democracy in Canada. We've seen some of that. It perhaps hasn't been as good from some party leaders, right. But certainly it's good to see the vast majority of Canadian politicians reacting to that in the right way. And
correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a Conservative member of Parliament who basically issued a statement that because it was some of the volunteers were from his campaign. This is Kyle Seaback up in Ontario, and he found out that some of his campaign volunteers, I guess, went to this one protest where Justin Trudeau actually just canceled the event. I guess the threats were so serious, and he just said, "You know what? They're gone. They're not on my campaign." Which I thought, wow, that's pretty heavy-handed. But again, at the same token, these are serious situations. Again, I remember being, I guess, in some ways, a victim of these kinds of things, and it's not pleasant, that's for sure. Yanni, was that the right move? We have 40 seconds to commercial, but was that enough?
You know what? What more can you do? What more can you do? You can't sit there and stop people from physically attending an event. It's their democratic right to attend any political party event. How they choose to conduct themselves at those events, I don't think is the responsibility of the individual that they may be supporting.
Right.
You know, I do think that the right move is to apologize and to, you know, outcast them from your association and affiliation. And I think what he did was the right thing. And really, what more can you do at that point?